Hey, here we are, everybody. It's Friday. So that means it's time for a live stream. Welcome. I hope you're having a wonderful day. I hope you're having a wonderful everything. You know, hope you're having a wonderful week. A lot of beautiful things going on today, and you know, we're really excited to have everybody here. So welcome. Today we're going to be talking about deep imaging. Now, I did a deep image tutorial a couple of weeks ago, but we were focusing on pedals. This time we're going to focus on amplifiers. So I've gone ahead and brought in an amplifier here with a load box, and I'm going to show you how we go about making an image from that file. And then I'm going to show you how we deep image from that. And then more importantly, I'm going to give you an audio demonstration so you can see how it actually looks and sounds. You can get to understand and know what fascinating technology this really is, because when you start getting into the rabbit hole of profiling, it is pretty impressive, especially what you can actually do. So it's I think you're going to really enjoy this. It's going to be a fantastic opportunity for you to learn, and of course, if you have questions, please feel free to send those questions in, whether you're watching from any of the channels that we're on right now. I see we have a few people out there. Feel like we have somebody from Florida. We have somebody from North Carolina. Welcome. Do we have anybody watching the World Cup right now? And if you are, which game are you watching? Been feeling like I've been kind of glued to the TV watching football for the last couple of weeks. So kind of looking forward to seeing how that's all going to end. Anyway, let me introduce my band to you. We have down here the wonderful MG50, and you can see that we're in image mode already, so we're set to go there. And then we've also got our We've got our image app over here on the other side. And this is running from my Mac. And here I am. Hi there. And from here, I'm going to show you how to actually, how I'm going to actually image an amp. I actually already imaged it as it, as we already set all that up earlier. But in this case here, what we're going to do is actually dig into it and show you how it's done, how you compile it, and create a deep image file from that, and then give you, most importantly, an audio demonstration of what's really capable of it. And in fact, I even came prepared with a silly video to get you guys started on how we did this. So let's take a look at some of those questions first, and we'll get in there. Let's see. Okay, my chat is being a little funny right now. Not haha funny, but just kind of techie glitchy funny. So that's okay. We don't really have to get into that right now at the moment. But let me go ahead and bring up the media here, and I can show you a quick demonstration of how I made the connection. So I used a Valve Junior head going into a Shure load box, and then from there connected it to the MG50Li, and we'll talk about the results in just a second. But let me go ahead and play this video for you. Here's our setup today for creating a deep image profile with the Valve Junior 5-watt head and a Shure reactive load box. If we look at the front here, it's a little hard to see, but you can see where I've made little marks here so that I can create multiple captures at every possible point to make sure that this is the most accurate representation that we can create. And the connections are pretty simple. It's coming from the effect send and return from the MG50Li. So the effect send is going to the input of the Valve Junior. And then if we work our way to the back here, the output of the Valve Junior goes into the input of the load box. The output of the load box goes back to the return of the 50Li, and that's all there is to it. So if you were wondering, yes, I did fall while I was doing that. So it's not one of my proudest moments, but I was just taking the camera and going around and going, oh dear, I fell back, and I just kept going with it. So in any case, that's all there is to make. That's all you need to do in order to make the connections. So we've got our guitar down here connected up to the MG50Li, and then we've got the sends and returns routed off to the amplifier, the load box, and then going back into the return of the 50Li. And from there, we can make an image. So let's go ahead and get going with that. So all the connections are here. We don't have to lift this up and cover any of that. We might be able to do that later. But what you do want to make sure of is that when you're in image mode, you want to get into image mode before you start. And to do that, you just simply have to use the third rotary encoder here. Go ahead and turn that on, and you can see the little image diagram, and it'll show you exactly how to make that image. And then we move on over to the app. Now the app is a little quirky at times, so you just need to make sure that you've got everything set up correctly. Like in this case here, you might notice that you're seeing my voice going through here, and that's because it's listening to the microphone and not actually to the MG50Li. And we can fix that quite easily. So we'll just go in here and just go select the MG50Li. There it is. Okay, great. And if we can throw a test tone through there. Sorry if that came through as a little loud, or I don't think that actually came through on the channel. Yep, that didn't come through on a channel, so you're okay. But in any case, you just want to make sure that you've got channels 1 and 2 for the output and the input both selected. And also, you want to make sure that you have the following here. You want to make sure that the sample rate is set to 48, although you really can't set it to anything else. And most importantly, if you follow what the manual says, they suggest staying to 256 samples. So from there, if you click on listen and you strum your guitar, now you can see, you can hear and see that something's going on there. So I'll just go ahead and throw on my guitar here just to make sure that we take care of the full enchilada here, that we cover everything. So most importantly, what you want to do first is you want to make sure that you set your levels appropriately. Now, what I did in this example, in the long example, is I created a deep image, meaning that I captured the amp at varying volumes. In this example, just because we're going to try to get through this quickly, I'm going to show you how to do one single capture. And then I'm going to talk about how to name it appropriately. And then I'm going to show you how you can compile all those captures to make one deep capture, or deep image, I should say. So let me go back to the app here for a second. Firstly, let's go to the amp. The amp is set currently at a 12 o'clock position. So that's a pretty good, decent, strong signal. Now remember, you're just hearing it without impulse responses and all that. You're just hearing the raw signal. So what you're hearing is you're hearing the audio going through, you're hearing my guitar going through the amp, going to the load box, and then coming out straight back to the 50Li. So you're not hearing like an impulse response or a reverb or anything like that. So it's going to sound a bit harsh, but don't worry, that's perfectly normal. Now once you've got your level set, which we do, all we have to do is simply click the go button, and it's going to start profiling. And so I'm not going to put the picture-in-picture here because I want you to see what's going on. So test tones are being sent through the unit as we speak. And if you've got your load box, and we talk about that, the load box I'm using is a Shure load box, and I've got it set to 3 o'clock, which means I don't have it reefed all the way, but I get a nice strong signal from the 3 o'clock position that doesn't clip or go off the grid, which is exactly what I don't want to do. Now, if you listen closely, you might actually be able to hear what's going through the load box, but those test tones are being generated through there. And in just a few seconds, we'll have a complete image. All right, we'll have a deep image down there, and well, I'll have a single layer image. And what I'll do is I'll go ahead and just throw on my headphones here. Okay, at this point now, we've got an image. Let me throw on my headphones, turn on the guitar. There we go. Okay, so we have our reference. This is the before. And here is what the image sounds like. So it's like spot on already. And all we're doing is just capturing it at a single level. And that's what's really incredible about this. Now, you might be wondering, why are we hearing latency? Well, that's because we introduced latency to the capture process. So when we bring that deep image into the 50Li, there's zero latency to worry about. But just when you're creating the image, don't get alarmed if you hear some latency. That's perfectly normal. It's nothing to worry about at all. This is just the referencing process. At this point now, what we can do is we can go over to load, where you can load it into one of the positions, and you can give it a name if you want to. And that's perfectly fine. Or what you can also do, and this is what I would really strongly encourage because this is a lot more fun, is to go to export, and then you can export the image as a single layer image. Then you can compile it with other images if you want to, and create an entire volume curve if you like. So that's what I've actually already done here, is I've created that exact thing here. So let me talk about that for a second, just to, in case I'm going, a million miles an hour here and I'm confusing the heck out of you. So what we want to do when we create a deep image, if in a single image, when you create it, it's just going to be one snapshot of the amp. Now, you are probably familiar with the NAM profiling, and in NAM profiling, that's exactly what it is. It is a single snapshot. Okay, it's not multiple snapshots along the volume curve. It is a single snapshot that we can then drop into the 50Li and through black box modeling algorithms and some AI to boot, we can replicate faithfully that entire volume curve. But what we do differently when we're creating a deep image, it's just like when we create a multi-layered sample. If any of you guys out there use samplers. So when we use samplers, we don't just like sample a piano just once. We sample a piano at various velocities. So soft touch, soft touch, soft touch, hard, 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 and you smack the note. Because the sample, the piano, is going to sound very different depending on how hard you hit the keys. It's exactly the same idea here. The amp is going to sound completely different as you make that change to the volume curve. So with the deep image, we can actually load in 10 captures, 10 samples of that amplifier. Or like what I did a couple weeks ago where I did it with a pedal. I did the same exact thing with the pedal. I've got it right here, in fact. Maybe you guys watched the video, but I had the pedal. In fact, I can actually show you here and it looks a little better, doesn't it? Hey, how about technology? I had the volume set at 12 o'clock and then I captured it at various points along the overdrive curve. And so by doing that, what I got as a result was much more accurate. And that's kind of the whole purpose here, is that we're going to compile all of those samples that I've just done into a single deep image file, meaning that it will accurately replicate the amplifier. So how do we do that? Well, let's go back into the image app here. I don't need to use this sample because I've already got it. But what I can do is I can go over to Deep Image. Okay, so when I go to the Deep Image tab, I've got a couple of choices here. I've got amplifier and I've got stomp box. Obviously, we're not going to create a stomp box in this case, but we are going to create an amplifier. And from here, I just go to Select Image Files. Now, if I go to Select Image Files, you can see a whole bunch of them are right here. And all I want to do is just simply select them. So I've got 10 of them here. But what I want you to also notice is, and this is really important, so please, if you're gonna rewind and rewatch any part of this, let me make sure I'm perfectly clear here so that there's no confusion, because I don't want you getting confused and frustrated and going, damn it, why didn't they tell me how to do this correctly? I want you to do it correctly the first time, every time. You have to be very precise with the naming of the file, okay? And what I mean by that is we have the first image. The first image needs to be whatever the name of the amp is going to be. In this case, I call it EpiValve Junior _ 00. So that is the first image. No matter what, that is the first image. The next one can be 10, the one after that can be 20, 30, all the way up, but your final image needs to be _100. So if you do not name it appropriately, it will not load in and it will give you an error message, and then you'll be on the phone to us or sending us emails and all that jazz, and I would rather you just be happy. So why don't we just keep it that way? So just follow those instructions and you'll meet the success you're looking for. Okay, so once we have the images, I'm going to go ahead and just select all of them at once. I'm then going to click open, and that's going to bring them all into the image app. And you can see right here at the bottom, all of the images have been loaded up and they're all set to go. So we can listen to a reference of it. So let me go ahead and turn that on. Again, there's no impulse response, there's no cabinet here, so you're just hearing the amp, and also you're hearing that latency because this is real-time monitoring. There's the reference. There's the model. So listen again. Reference, model. Isn't that amazing? I mean, it really sounds amazing. It just sounds fantastic. So many messages are coming in. Hi there. Okay, so I'm gonna go ahead and there's a lot of questions going on in there. We'll get to them, I promise. But for right now, I just want to keep the flow going here. So just work with me for a second, okay? The next thing we want to do is we want to decide what EQ we want to apply to this amplifier. Now, the Valve Junior, the reason I selected the Valve Junior for this first example is because the Valve Junior has one knob on it. If you guys haven't used it before, it's an incredible sounding amp, and with that one knob, you can get just a whole kaleidoscope of different tones out of it, and it's utterly amazing. But what also happened when that amp came out all those years ago, I think it's like 15, 20 years ago now when that amp came out, there were mods that were created for it. People just started hacking the amp and starting putting all sorts of stuff in it. And because the one knob was a little limiting for some people and they just wanted to tweak it out. So with the DeepImage, we can actually accomplish the same exact thing here, because look at this. We've got a Fender Black Panel 65 EQ. We've got a Vox Diamond. We've got a Marshall British. We've got a high gain. And then we've got a bass EQ curve that we can apply to this image. I'm going to stick with, well, actually, I already did one with the Black Panel. So why don't I go ahead and just throw caution to the wind here, and I'll just do the Diamond. Then this is the Vox EQ curve. I'm going to leave everything at 12 o'clock, right where it needs to be. And at that point now, I'm just going to go ahead and export. And in this case, I'm going to go down here in Valve Junior, but I'll put a V on the end. That way I know that it's got the Vox EQ on it, and I'll go ahead and hit save. And there we go. So now it's all set. At this point, I can go ahead and quit this app, and I can go right to the NUX audio app. Alrighty. Little too big. There we go. That's what I was looking for. All right, Max, wonderful. Okay, and let me turn on my my channels here. Okay, so what I've done here is I've set up the capture, the DeepImage. I've set it up so that we can A/B it. But what I'd like to do is, well, actually, you know what? I'll stay here because we can start getting into the weeds and talking about the Fender EQ versus the Vox EQ, and you can hear the differences if you want to, and I'll be more than happy to play those back for you. But what I'll do at this point is let me just explain what I did for this demonstration, because I want you to understand the power of this. And when I did the demo with the pedal a couple of weeks ago, I sent it off to a pretty notable writer for a very notable magazine privately, just to get his opinion. I sent him a 30-second clip of the pedal versus the DeepImage. And he said, Mike, I can't tell the difference at all. And this is a guy who has used every piece of hardware under the sun. So I couldn't have gotten a better bit of feedback from him. And as a result, it really worked out quite well. So let me go back to the amp here. So let me go to, what I'll do here is I'm going to go to a blank preset, and I'm going to show you what we do to get things going here with the app. So I'm going to go to the image icon, which is up here in the upper right corner. From here, I've got all of the slots that I can enter in my amplifiers. So if I want to bring that DeepImage in, for example, that has the Vox EQ, I'm going to go ahead and hit the selection, the place that I want to put it, the location, so user amp 02, and I'm going to click on import, and that's going to open up Explorer. So I'm going to go ahead and select the one that I want, which is the Vox EQ. Okay, and there it is. And now I've got it all set up. So at that point now, if I want to load it up, I certainly can. But before I even get there, what I want to do is go back to the one that I created, because I want you to hear the difference between the amplifier and then the DeepImage, so you can hear for yourself. And I can do it in a stereo or a mono environment. It doesn't matter to me. But I think it'll be a little more fun if we do it in the stereo environment. So what I've done here is I've got one scene in this preset that has the send and return activated with the amplifier signal block turned off. So what you're hearing is you're hearing the send and return sending signal out to the amplifier going to the load box and then coming back into the system. So it's just like we captured it. And behind that, I've put an impulse response. I did a mono, a Blues DeVille 112 with a B52 microphone. Now I could change that to anything else. It doesn't really matter at this point. What is going to matter is when you hear it versus the image. And then a little reverb behind it, just so it doesn't sound so plain Jane. So we have that. And then on scene 2, we have the send and return signal block is turned off, and now it's the just the amplifier. So the DeepImage amplifier. So without further ado, let me kill the microphone, and I will go ahead and make the adjustments accordingly. All right, so what did you think of that? Could you hear the difference? Let me know in the comment section. Type it in right now in the chat window. Let me know, did you hear a difference? The chat is right there, guys. Let me know. I've had people come in and listen to this while I'm doing it, and nobody can hear a difference at all. Now, there is a couple of things that will make it a little different. Okay, back to the amp there. Now, one thing is, right from the get-go, I can tell you, is that we've got the volume turned up a little bit here to make the levels match. But the gain structure is just about the same, and it's just about right where it needs to be. But unlike the actual amplifier, I now have 2 bands of EQ to play with as well. So that means I could make it sound a little more brassy if I wanted to. So what we had before? Also helps if you tune, but so make sure you put on some headphones when you listen to it, because you will not hear a difference as I move between the real amp and the DeepImage amp. I mean, it just blew my mind. Look, I know I work for this company and I run this company, and that's fantastic. But at the same time, I drink the Kool-Aid along with you guys when it comes to this stuff. What our team in China is coming up with as far as the programming goes is just amazing. And did you see how easy it was to actually create that? I mean, doesn't that just blow your mind? Think about what you could do with that. We're just scratching the surface at this point. I'm thinking about all kinds of really wonky things we could do to make this even better, and to do like the next steps of what we can do with profiling. But the fact that you can go and just profile and, simply create something that sounds that good. It's really amazing. Now, you're probably wondering, okay, well, what about that one with the Vox? Well, let's find out. Let's go in and load that sucker up. Now we need to turn that volume up just a little bit so it matches. But you can hear it, right? But you can hear it. So there's the amplifier. So here's the actual amplifier. Here is the image amp. So it is absolutely, that EQ curve is absolutely going to make a difference when you apply it. So using the Vox or using the Fender, or maybe even using the Marshall or the bass will give you a whole bunch of other options. Then you could go even more spicy if you want to, and you could put it into a couple of impulse responses because you can use it in stereo, or you could go really off the deep end like I did. I'm going to go back to my image here, the app here, and I'm going to go to my settings, and I'm going to go to other, and I'm going to turn scene 3 on. And why did I do that? Well, because I wanted to have a little bit of fun. So what I did here is I actually loaded up two instances of the EpiValve Junior DeepImage. I panned them left and right, and then I put a whole bunch of neat effects behind it. So I could just wank on that all day, and if I got like the EBO out and started doing something with that, it would sound even weirder. Let's see, what can we do here? Little Depeche Mode line there for you. But if you want to see what's under the hood here on this preset, so I'm using the parallel routing, not the serial routing. I'm using the parallel routing here. Sorry. Getting over here to the top signal path here. I'm going into one instance of the EpiValve Junior amp with the gain turned all the way up, going off to stereo impulse responses. I've got a 412 on the right, and I've got a 112 on the left, and I've got two completely different microphones in two different places. After that, I've got a phase 90, which just sounds glorious. And then I've got a mixing signal block here, where you can see that I haven't gone completely hard left and hard right, just enough to create a good solid stereo field. From there, I've then got a stereo delay, this is the duo time, which I just adore. And then, of course, my tried and true favorite reverb, the plate reverb. On the other signal path, I've got a boost going into a mono octave. Now, this is the Tootie. If you guys have seen that pedal, we released it just a couple months ago. We showed it at NAMM earlier in the year. It is fantastic. And if you watched my first or second live stream on the 50Li, I actually programmed our MIDI foot switch as a momentary switch to turn off and on the Tootie, just like the actual pedal can do, which is one of the neat features of that particular pedal. Then going to another EpiValve Junior. This time, though, the gain was staying nominal, and I just turned up the volume just to give it a little more beef. Then we went over to the impulse response, and I brought up a 112 on one side with a B52 mic, and then a JC 120 because I wanted a really clean cabinet on the other side with a Royer 122, and then I went to a Phi delay to get something that sounded just really out there. So if I turned off, like, say, the modulation, like, let's just turn that off and then turn off the mono. This is it. I mean, it's just so much fun. Make sure you wear headphones when you're listening to this, because I know some of you guys are going to go and do a replay on this later. But then when you put the modulations back in, when you put the octave and you put the modulation in, my poor attempt at Rush. Everybody's watched this channel long enough knows that I bastardize Rush whenever I get a chance, just because I want to piss everybody off. I'm kidding, I don't. But in any case, that is how imaging works on the 50Li. It is utterly fantastic. It is just one of my favorite things to work with. And I'm just getting more and more into the weeds here. And we're actually right on target too for our time. So this is great. We've got plenty of time to answer questions on what I'm talked about. So if you go back a couple of weeks, go back about a month, you'll see the first couple of live streams. You go back 2 weeks, you'll see a live stream demonstration where I took a pedal and I did a deep image of the pedal. And in the weeks to come, we've got a whole bunch of plans for a whole curriculum around the 50Li, as well as all of our other products. And yes, I know there's going to be a question or 2 or 20 here in the question section that's going to ask about the A2 support. And all I can tell you is this: yes, we are going to support NAM A2. We announced it the day that Neural Amp Modeler announced it themselves. So we are doing that as soon as we can. Look, we just don't want to bring it out half-baked, okay? Because if we do that, it's just going to be a nightmare for everybody. So I would prefer we just did it the right way first. Measure twice, cut once, as the saying goes. Let me throw my guitar over here. By the way, what do you think of this strap? What do you think of this strap, guys? This is a company called Couch Straps here in Long Beach. They contacted us a few weeks ago about potentially doing some collabs together, which I'm totally down for doing that. Everything they make is cruelty-free, and so far I've been pretty impressed with their stuff. It's been real interesting. So in any case, let's take a look at what we got here. We got some questions going on here, and I definitely want to answer those for you. But get back to my original point. The plan is to release A2 updates for the 300 Mark II and the 30 and the 50Li. If you're using an MG400, the good news is that update already came out. So that will happen. All you have to do is just be patient. We get people asking every day on the Facebook user groups, when's it coming, when's it coming, when's it coming? And you know, I'm just not going to BS you and say it's going to be out tomorrow, because maybe it very likely won't be out tomorrow. But we'll have a better idea. But we want to make sure that it works first before we release it, so that you get the best possible experience out of it. And by the way, I haven't forgotten at all about the 30 or the 300 Mark II or any of those other products. The 30, we're still developing for it. That's a 5-year-old product, and we're still making updates for it. So I think that is a pretty fantastic thing that HQ does. Is they do care about the customers, they honor the customer base, they honor how many people have been using the 30, and they're still making updates. I think that's just fantastic stuff. So in any case, let's go back now and let's take a look of the let's take a look at some of the questions here. Okay, this was a good one. So apologies in asking in advance for this. What type of NAM to A2 support will the Amp Academy Stomp be receiving support for? Okay, well, that's a good question. So it is native. Okay, it's A2 native. That's one thing that a lot of people have asked is, do we reprocess the NAM file when it gets dropped into our products? No, we don't. It is native, but we do want to, you know, make sure that it gives you the best possible reproduction of the amp you're trying to play whack with. So yeah, I think it sounds pretty darn good, what I've heard so far. As far as the A2 support for the Amp Academy Stomp, I would be guessing right now. I don't want to give you, I I don't want to give you the wrong information. It will definitely be A2 Lite at the minimum, but it depends on A2 A2 full support, but the CPU usage for A2 full really requires a computer from what I remember. Again, I'm doing this from memory, so don't hold me to it, but I would say it's probably A2 Lite would be my guess. But that's just my guess. I hope that helps you, though. Searching for tone. Aren't we all, sir? Just got mine in the mail, unboxing, and plenty of demos to come soon. Great. Please, when you launch those demos, give us some videos, and let us know, of course. Let's see what's going on. Okay. Why does it only hold 30 profiles between amps and pedals? That's not a lot of room for user captures. Well, I guess it's really a matter of opinion more than anything. 30 is quite a bit, frankly, and that's also in addition to all of those amps, all the model amps that we put into the product as well, and of course that's in addition to all the deep images we've already done for you. So it's a lot. Honestly, I think you're going to have a lot of trouble filling those slots up. Now, if you're doing it with NAM files, and you that can lead to some complications. Give you an example. When I first did the demo for NAM files, loading them into the 30, the 300 Mark II, and the 400, I used the Epiphone Valve Jr. NAM files that I found on Tone 3000's website, and they don't have just one deep image. They had captures at different amplitudes. So that took up 4 spaces by itself, whereas what I just created only took up 1 space, and it does the entire shooting match as far as the amplitude levels go. So, think about it along those lines. Okay, so Florida, North Carolina. All right. Am I the player? No, I'm not. I'm not Mike Hermans. No, I'm not. I'm a different Mike. But Mike Hermans is a fantastic guy. He's a big fan of NUX products, and he's a big fan of a lot of other products. I love his videos. He does some really great stuff. So no, I'm not him. But thank you for asking, of course. Okay. Okay, I got somebody in Monterey. Okay, will you be updating the MG30 with the new NAM V2? Yes, the A2. Yes, we will have it. It will be out soon. I can't give you an exact date yet. Also, just another FYI, so I can get you in on this too. If you have a Mighty Plug Pro or a Mighty Space, I got even great news for you too. You're going to have NAM support not too far off in the future as well. We were planning to have that out sooner than later, but it is going to be out probably it'll probably be out sometime next month, I think is what our development team was telling me. So that's going to be great too, because the Mighty Space guys, the multi effects are fantastic, obviously, but if you're looking for an amplifier that's like that all-in-one solution, that amp is just so much fun to work with. So little good news for you there. Thank you for doing this. Well, it's my genuine pleasure. I love doing these live streams every other Friday. It's fantastic to be here to do this for you guys. Okay, well, searching for tone, is there going to be a way to increase the capacity? Not that I'm aware of right now. Not that I'm aware of. Again, remember, this is the first version of the product. This is the first version of the firmware. I won't say that we can do that, but maybe there's a way. I just don't know, honestly. I'd be guessing. I can tell you that my team is exceptionally, the development team is exceptionally smart, and just they go miles ahead of anything that I could have ever thought of. Hey, Chris Butler, how are you? Good to see you. Hope you're doing well, my friend. Okay, here's a good question. What is DeepImage exactly? I may have missed that part, but how does it compare to the NAM A2? Apples and oranges, or is DeepImage NUX's interpretation of NAM? Um, it it's along the same principles. Now, again, I don't want to speak out of turn because some of this, you know, I could be guessing some of this. Some of this I could be giving you the truth. I don't know. But I'm kidding. I'm kidding. That's an awful thing to say. But I will say that a NAM file, whether we're talking about A1 or A2, is a single snapshot, a single capture of the amp or the pedal. It is not what we do with deep imaging, because deep imaging is multiple captures along the volume curve. So that is a different beast where AI is used to make the assumptions when you make the volume curve differences with a single level of a capture with and it sounds amazing, by the way, but I do find that I am really liking the deep images myself. Now, I have read some reviews where people say the deep images are a little hard to get into. And I think that's because it's like turning on an amp for the very first time. And if you're not familiar with that amp, you need to dial it in and dime it in the way you want it to be. With some of the models, and it doesn't matter if I'm talking about us or if I'm talking about another brand, some of them kind of just go for the Happy Meal effect. The second you turn on the model, it's going to be right in your face. And that's just fine. You know, there's nothing wrong with doing that. But at the same time, I think the deep images kind of challenge you to be a real amp writer, if you will, and get in there and start making the adjustments on your own. But again, that's just my opinion. So I think that kind of answered your question, but I did actually answer the question earlier about what the deep image is. So go back and watch that when you do this. What I value most is how many good factory presets there are, like with Fractal Audio. Yeah, I think there's a lot of good presets in the 50Li, and that we also have just oodles of empty space for you to create your own presets as well. And that's one of the things that I think makes it really great. You got wide open spaces to play with, so why not, right? Let's see. I'm going to keep going through here. Okay. I missed the beginning of the stream, but I've remembered correctly the capture does not involve the usual tone sweeps. Well, yeah, there are test tones that are put through the amplifier via the send and return and then captured into the image app. And that's how it works. So it is very much like that. Okay, let's go back up here a bit. Let's see. A lot of questions here. Okay, yeah. So Chris asked, made another. Yeah, the reason I haven't heard the sweep on previous videos is probably because it's done with a load box rather than a mic. Yes, it's done with a load box. You can hear the sweep tones as the test tones as they're going through the load box from the amplifier. When I did the capture earlier, yes, you could hear it, but very, very, very slightly. Probably better that you don't hear it all the way through. Is there a better way to move, delete, organize presets or patches? Yeah, absolutely. You could certainly do that. You could go in and make any adjustments you want, really. So you could move them around, or no, not in here. I'm sorry. I'm thinking of another app. Pardon me. You can certainly arrange where you'd like the presets to go. You can export the presets and then you can import new presets if you want. So you can actually do quite a bit as far as organizing it out. And maybe that would be a good video for us to do in a future tutorial on how to maybe organize your sets, right? So as you're getting ready to play live, song 1, move up to song 2, move up to song 3, and then you're in stomp mode or in scene mode so you can go between the different scenes. I could see us certainly doing something like that to help you guys acclimate more to making this something for a live environment, if you will. Okay. Oop, looking at the wrong thing here. Let's see. I wonder if there's a mode where you can run a clean power amp and a cab and create a speaker IR. You know, that's a really good question. No, there isn't. To my knowledge, there isn't a way to do it with the 50Li. The original version of the Solid Studio did it. I did a video where I created a impulse response from an Axe track with the Solid Studio, the first version. Second version doesn't do it. I think it's just because there are so many impulse responses out there for people to get, whether you buy them, whether you download them for free on Tone 3000 or something like that. And I'm not saying one's better than the other, but I do buy the ones from Celestia, and I think they sound really good. Trop Tone sounds really good. There's a few other ones that make some fantastic sounding. Sonic DNA, I think is what the name I was thinking of. They make some really great impulse responses. And you know, people work on those, they develop them, and they're quite reasonably priced, frankly. The free ones are good, but look, when something that doesn't cost anything, don't complain if you don't like the way it sounds. So that's my only caution I would say on the free stuff. But at the same time, you know, you can create your own impulse responses. There's ways to do it with your DAW where you don't even have to use something like the 50Li to do that in the first place. And maybe again, that would be something that we could cover in a future video tutorial. Heck, even the Optima Air, you can actually create an acoustic impulse response if you want to, which is pretty nice. All right, so my demonstration helped somebody here. Sounds pretty much the same. Glad you saw that and heard that. Okay, so Chris, let's see what you said here, Chris. Trying to get your comment to come up here. Bear with me. Okay, when you get to this comment, I meant that setup with the center return going through the amp and the load box and the captured profile scenes. Very effective. Sounds great both ways. Great. I'm glad you heard it. That you heard that. It's not snake oil. You know, it's the real thing, and that's what really blows my mind. No, this was no. Okay, so this was a not one. This wasn't one single image that I captured. I just did that for an example to show you how to make a capture. And then what I did is I already did a full DeepImage capture from earlier. I captured 10 different velocity curves. And what I did is I used a little pencil on the volume knob and I just estimated where those points of volume should be before I went ahead and captured it. So yeah, keep the questions coming though. This is really fantastic. Nice demonstration. Good day. I see NUX coming up with A2 updates for, yeah, there's definitely, yeah, there's one coming for the 50Li. Don't worry, it's coming. I just don't know when that will happen, but it will be soon, I promise. They are working very hard on it. They just want to make sure it actually works. Do I do only NUX videos? Yes, I only do NUX videos. Okay. I am the CEO of NUX US. So yes, that's true. So yes, that is why I only do NUX videos. Believe me, I have very limited time to even do these, but I want to do them just to keep you know, appearances up. The AMP Academy won't receive any further updates now that the stomp is out. No, that's not true. That's not true at all. I don't know when we have another update planned for the AMP Academy, but no, I didn't. No, nobody said that it's not. There's not going to be an update for it. But it is a couple of years old now. So, in fact, I think it's what, 4 years old now at this point. So I can't tell you for sure if there'll be another update for it. But just stay tuned, and if there is something new coming for it, we will absolutely do a video or a live stream or something to make sure that you know that it's coming. Let's keep going. Okay. Okay. A lot of sidebar discussions here on how to use the Amp Academy Stomp in a very creative way, which is fantastic. Let's see. Are we planning to add more modulation effects and tone patch sharing platform? Okay, that's a really good one. Chris, by the way, I really love all the ideation there with the Amp Academy and Stomp. That's fantastic stuff. Or the Amp Academy, not the Amp Academy Stomp, but the Amp Academy. Okay, so more modulation effects. Again, I won't say no. This is the first version of the firmware. This is a product that's going to be around for a while. So I would assume we will see more stuff at some point. I just don't know when. I'm not sure about that particular topic. So I would be kind of guessing, and I don't want to guess in place of the developers. It doesn't mean that we aren't asking for that stuff. I'd love to see a heck of a lot more in here. I'd love to see a whole bunch of other effects. But again, just give us time. First version of the firmware, we'll probably do something down the road and give you guys more. Now, as far as the question about tone sharing, yes, it's called the NUX Cloud, and it will be out later this summer. That will enable you to share patches with other people and images with other people. So that's coming along. It's something that I've been waiting for quite some time. It's not that I have anything against doing it all on Facebook groups, but let's bring it into a cloud. Let's centralize and silo everything and bring it right into one place where everybody can have good quality discussions rather than go up there and just complain and stuff. Because I read some of the negative comments at times on the various user groups, and I realize people are going to always have opinions no matter what. And some of those people, we can't help them, or maybe they have a misconception over what product does what, or how certain things are done, or the difference between serial and parallel routing and all that stuff. And all we're doing is just trying to help you guys understand that better. So I hope that does help. I really do. That's the biggest issue with NAMM, relying upon the settings of the capturer. Capture. Arg. Sorry. Couldn't help it. It's Friday. Well, that's a good point. That's a really good point. It does come down to the quality of the person who's doing it. I mean, you could have somebody who's smoking crack on the other end doing that capture, and Lord only knows. I did download one NAMM file, and I won't mention which amp it was, but I actually have that specific amp, and it was terrible. It was awful. It was unusable. But yeah, for the most part, I haven't run into too many that are like that. But yeah, when it's free, it's free. So you get what you paid for, as the golden oldie saying is. If NAMM has any plans of creating a multi-layered capture format, I honestly don't know, Chris. Maybe they will. The A2 update just came out, and it's really amazing. And yeah, I think the thing that's really incredible about this is it's just the community. I love the fact that this has created a community that's so passionate and really loves what they do. We don't see innovations in guitar technology all that often. Anything that just makes you go, dude. You know, you don't get you don't get those effects too often. Those moments in time too often. I mean, I remember getting mine when I first saw that you could record onto your computer all the way back there in the 90s, and I was like, dude. And my whole career took a totally different turn because of that moment. Um, this is that. You know, modeling was also there too. There was a moment where modeling just sounded awful. I don't care what anybody says. There was a time where it just sounded terrible. I won't say which products, but then modeling just took a huge right turn, and all of a sudden it got really, really good. I think that's like right when like things like the MGs were coming out, even all the way back to the MG100 and the old dogs there. That's the thing. And now profiling or imaging, as we're calling it. And I think it's amazing, the innovation that's being introduced there and what it's doing for people as far as their creativity goes. We are scratching the surface, guys. Just try to imagine this for a second, if you would. What if I were to create a deep image that had these two pedals mixed together? I mean, you got to imagine that would be pretty wanky, right? I mean, you could come up with some pretty twisted stuff. This is by the way, this is an Ibanez Jet driver here that I've got. And this is a Lounsbury amp rescue. Really, really amazing stuff. I'm just going to continue to go here. We're just getting a little over an hour here. We're going to wrap it up in a couple minutes here, but I want to get to everybody that I can. Okay, so here's a good question about availability in the US. We just shipped hundreds of 50Lis out to the major accounts. So like Sweetwater, Guitar Center, Amazon, AMS Sounds, they have them. The independent dealers are going to be next in line, and we'll be getting those in the next couple of weeks. The boat is on its way here. But there are dealers that do have it in stock, so you can get it. You just have to, hunt down at your favorite retailer, and you should be able to get one without too much trouble. Okay. Let's see. Could you show its distortions? Is it suitable for metalcore? Absolutely, it's suitable for metalcore. Here, I'll bring this in right here. So let's go into another. I'll just go into a preset here. I'll bring up the distortions here. So if we go to the effects block, this is where the distortions are found here. So we've got the red dirt distortion. We've got a nice crunch. We've got the no bells, which is an overdrive, but it's a really nice one. And we have the tube screamer. These are all deep images, by the way. But then we have the Crazy Pro overdrive. We have a Horseman overdrive. We have the full tone. We have British overdrive. I mean, and my personal favorite, the turbo overdrive. This was my very first pedal when I first started playing guitar. This was my very first pedal. And then we have the standard overdrive distortion. We have an 80s distortion. We have Metal Zone-esque. So yeah, we've got overdrives for all of that. And then of course we've got the high gain amps that go along with that. So if you're looking to do that kind of music, gent or metalcore or thrash or whatever you want to call it, because they're all kind of synonymous with the same style, yes, you actually absolutely have those in there, and really nice tight noise gates as well to make it really come out. Okay, good. Okay, wow, there's a lot of messages going on here. Okay, let me keep going here. Okay, repeating the same question earlier, if I have a mic and a mic pre to feed the return on the MG50 with a line level, I can capture the whole chain amp and Amp and cab, yes, use without an IR letter. I haven't tried that. But I have to assume you probably could. I don't think it would be, I don't think it would be that big of a deal. Like for example, there's some NAM files that I downloaded that were combo NAM files that had the amp and it also had the cabinet mixed in as well, like the Rockman, because the Rockman was a headphone amp, so it had to mimic a cabinet to go along with that sound. So yes, they were able to capture it there. I got to assume you could do it here as well. Although I haven't tried it, so we'd have to give that a try. Maybe that would be again another topic we could try to cover here. Let's keep going here. Oh, this is a good one. Is the cloud a paid platform or will it be like Tone? It'll be free. We don't do that stuff, guys. We don't do that stuff. Now, I'm not going to say that we won't curate and create special expansion packs that you can buy. I'm not going to say we won't do that, but as far as like the cloud goes, no, that's 100% free. There's no charge to do that. Okay. Will they add more effects like modulations? Okay, yeah, I already answered that earlier, so we'll just keep going through that. Repeating another question, might we be able to assemble a deep image from a comprehensive NAM to individual gain level captures? Not yet. Not yet, but I believe we are talking about importing NAM files directly into the image app and then creating a deep image from that. I believe so. So don't hold me to it yet, but that's what I think is going to happen. In Argentina, we are made by the quality of all the NUX products. Well, thank you. I'm glad you like them. In the U.S., we're amazed at how good a soccer player you guys are. I've been watching Messi and just been, I don't know if you're watching football or not, but man, he has just been magic. That guy has just been amazing. I don't know how many people are watching the World Cup or not. If you are, let me know. Okay, here's a good question. A bit off topic, but scene mode is a bit clunky at the moment, mainly due to the play mode preferences not being saved to the preset as a global. Let me bring that back up. Makes uses scenes a bit of a faff. I have no idea what the heck that means. Well, that's a good point. Has that been discussed in the Facebook groups? Because I'm sure you've seen Kevin reply in the Facebook groups, and I'm sure you've seen Monk reply in the Facebook groups. All three of us work for NUX, and you'll see me in there occasionally answering questions. But if you get with Kevin, let him know, and maybe that's something we can address. Okay. Thank you, Slash, for explaining what that meant. Oh, here's one of my favorite topics here. See if I can get this to behave itself. Is reamping possible? Absolutely, you can reamp with this, with the 50Li. Absolutely, you can do that. And that would definitely be a video that we should do. I showed people how to do that with the 300 when it was the Mark I, like 6 years ago now. I showed people how to do that. And they just were like, whoa, you can do that? I'm like, man, they've been doing reamping since the 60s. It's not a new technology at all, but it's really great. And it's wonderful to be able to educate people to know that you could record something that sounds like this, and you're listening back to it and like, yeah, that's okay, that's all right, but I want it to sound like this. And that's what reamping is all about, where you can reamp or reprocess your pre-recorded tracks with additional amps and effects, and then get this big old sound out of it. That's the magic of reamping. It's fantastic. So yes, the 50Li can do it for sure. All right. All right. Good enough. Well, that's good slash noodles, but I won't put that on a. I won't say that in a video. So thank you very much for explaining that that little bit of slang to me. I appreciate that. Well, anyway, we're getting on to an hour and 10 here. We got to wrap it up for the session. I hope you got something out of this session. I hope you learned something. Do go back and make sure that you watch the replay so that you can see how the image is created, how it sounds, and start exploring for yourself as you get your 50Lis. Once they start coming in, make those adjustments, try them out, and capture your own amps and capture your own pedals. Have fun. That's what this is all about, right? But in any case, I hope that helps you out. It was a pleasure being here as always. I hope you learned something and you got something out of this. If you have further questions, by all means, please send us emails at hello@nux.us, and follow us on Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, and stay tuned for a lot more content that's on its way very, very soon. You guys have a terrific weekend. Thank you so much, as always. You great. Have a good one, okay?